Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. It's Tuesday, August 18th. I have a very quick video update on the stimulus bill, the latest proposal that the Republicans are putting forth. It's a slimmed down stimulus, and it sounds like Pelosi also supports this new stimulus bill. So that's good news. I'm going to talk about what's in this new proposal. The text will be available soon, later today, and I will link to that in the description. And I'm also going to talk about a grant program that you may or may not be aware of that gives $5,000 to $20,000 grants. It's a $55 million grant program, and they give these grants to minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and businesses in rural communities. So I'm going to talk about that. There is another application cycle for that coming up soon, so you're going to want to watch to the end to find out how to apply and how to get an alert when you can apply, okay? I'm also going to talk briefly about the IRS news that if you haven't received your $500 payments for your dependents, you can request that now on the IRS website. And finally, I'm going to talk about the latest COVID infection count, where we're at in terms of infections and deaths, and what you need to know. Thanks, as always, for supporting our channel, for subscribing if you haven't. We're going to continue to cover the important news on COVID and stimulus and grants and EIDL stuff every day. And thanks, as always, to everyone leaving comments. And it's really been fantastic to see everyone getting involved, especially on the USPS debate and also a lot of the political debate. Okay, first I'm going to talk about this. Senate Republicans introduced new stimulus bill. They're planning to introduce a scaled-back coronavirus relief package, additional funding for the Paycheck Protection Program, liability protections for employers, money for schools and testing, and $10 billion to the USPS. Okay, that's the core package. Meanwhile, lawmakers are coming back this week to vote on USPS funding. Okay, Pelosi called them back from their recess because of this emergency situation with the post office and their need for funding. And they're going to aim to vote on that this Saturday, whether or not to approve $25 billion in funding for the USPS. Of course, so much of this is tied to the mail-in voting effort, since most of the country will be voting by mail for this November's election. Again, here's what Steve Mnuchin said today. There's a deal to do here if the Democrats want to be reasonable. Now let me jump to what Pelosi said today, because she gave her reactions on the new stimulus proposal as well. So here's what she said. Pelosi doesn't want to wait until the end of September, when Congress will be attempting to pass a bill needed to keep the federal government funded at the start of the fiscal year on October 1st. As for a stimulus package, she said, we have to try to come to that agreement now. Of course, both sides have been saying this for a while, this urgency. They both express urgency and the need. Nothing's been done, though. But again, take it for what it is. I'd love to hear in the comments if you're optimistic about this news and what your outlook is in general. Are you positive or negative on what the lawmakers are doing? But here's what Pelosi went on to say. She said, we're willing to cut our bill in half to meet the needs right now. And Pelosi also said they can do something right now that would cost less and then take it up again in January. Again, maybe there's a new administration, and maybe Pelosi thinks that a new administration and a new Senate will help pass something in January. And if they agree to something now, we can get us through the next few months, both from an individual perspective and a small business perspective and an education perspective as well. Okay, if you haven't received your $500 stimulus payments for your dependents, you can go to irs.gov, click Get My Economic Impact Payment, and basically you'll have to log in and verify your information. Maybe you've already done this or you're familiar with the process, but you can request it here to get this now, or you can wait until your 2021 taxes to get it back then. It's up to you. Most people would rather have that money now, so you can go to irs.gov and request your dependent payments. Finally, briefly on coronavirus, over 5 million cases in the U.S. We've passed the 170,000 death mark in the last 24 hours. Here we see the hotspots across the country, again, primarily concentrated in the South and in California, especially now in the Central Valley, and still in Southern California as well. Now, if we look at the new cases reported by day, it's been going down over the past few weeks. We see the new cases in the last 2 days were around 40,000, so quite lower. And if we look back, this is comparable to late June numbers. So again, we're never out of the woods, but that's a good trend to see. And when you look at the deaths, because many of you want to just focus on the deaths number. It's remained flat over the past 2 weeks, so not very good news, but let's see what happens. Usually there's a lag between infections and deaths. Finally, here's the grant program that I want to share with you if you're not familiar. Lowe's LISC Partnership. So here's what LISC is. This is their tagline on their website, lisc.org. I will leave a link to this and of course the link to find out about the grants in the description. The Local Initiative Support Corporation, known as LISC, is one of the country's largest social enterprises supporting projects and programs to revitalize communities and bring greater economic opportunity to residents. They invest in affordable housing, growing businesses, safer streets, etc. So I'm not going to go into that. You can learn about their work as a nonprofit, but more importantly, let's talk about the $55 million grant partnership that they've put together with Lowe's. They've already done a few rounds for this, and basically they've set aside $30 million to focus on small businesses owned or led by minorities and women, who often lack access to affordable capital, and $25 million to support enterprises in rural communities, which typically face more hurdles in terms of getting access to credit, capital, and other support services. So those are the two buckets in the $55 million grant fund, and the grants range from $5,000 to $20,000. Okay, here's the important part. You can use these grants of up to $20,000 to pay rent and utilities, meet payroll, pay outstanding debt to vendors, upgrading technology, and other immediate operational costs. So there is another round opening on August 31st. They've done a couple rounds. There's a new round on August 31st. So click register now and you'll get an alert when the new round opens up. One of the best parts about this, for those of you who were denied EIDL grants or EIDL loans, is that there is no credit check. According to the resources that we've looked at, there's no minimum credit needed. The goal of this program is to help businesses in need, businesses that particularly have trouble getting access to loans or capital, so credit is not a factor. If you are a finalist to receive a grant, you will have to send more information, such as your bank information, obviously, because they need to get you the money, and some other documents to sign. So it's not free money because there are tax implications and unemployment implications, but it's a good grant program that, of course, we encourage you to go after multiple programs. I will note that if you've already received this grant, you cannot apply again, and you can only apply for one business. So if you have multiple businesses or side hustles, choose your largest and apply with that one. All right, as always, thank you so much for watching our videos and staying up to date. We'll keep you posted on the stimulus news today, especially if the new slimmed down bill gets shared online. We will link to that in the description as well, so keep an eye on that. As always, please leave comments. Thank you for subscribing. Stay well and stay healthy.